What's up guys, Kalipis Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Motorola Moto G Stylus 2021. I'll be going over everything you need to know about this phone to decide whether or not it's right for you. So let's get into it. Before we get into the actual phone itself, let's take a look at what's in the box. So first, we got a quick start guide and a SIM card removal tool, a USB-C cable, and a wall adapter. Now onto the phone itself. This phone has a 6.8-inch IPS LCD display with a resolution of 1080p, a PPI of 386, an aspect ratio of 20:9, and a screen-to-body ratio of 84.8%. I have the brightness at 100% right now, and it does look really good. The only thing that can really be better about this display is really just having something like an OLED display instead of an IPS LCD, but regardless, the colors still look really bright and really good. As far as the design of the phone itself, it's not bulky at all. It really fits comfortably in the hand, regardless of being a 6.8-inch display, which is really impressive. The back is made of a glossy material, and despite this, it doesn't really pick up fingerprints. Right up here, we got a hole punch for the front-facing camera. And this camera is 16 megapixels. It really does go with the look of the phone. In general, the phone is really sleek and modern looking, and the bezels are decently thin, which I really like. And besides aesthetic purposes, having a large display like this is going to help you with stuff like content consumption. Whether you're streaming videos, viewing pictures, playing a game, or even reading, having a larger display is going to help with all of that. For storage, this phone has 128 gigabytes of internal storage with microSD card expansion, so that is really good. If you're an average user, I doubt you're even gonna come close to running out of space. Even if you're more of a power user and you have a lot of apps, it would take a ton of apps to fill up the storage on this phone. And besides that, if you shoot lots of photos and videos, you can actually store those on a microSD card. And with this phone, you can expand the storage with a microSD card up to 512 gigabytes, which is a ton of space. So even if you do a lot of things that take up lots of space, you're not gonna have to worry about running out anytime soon. Now this phone does not have wireless charging, but it has both a fingerprint scanner and face unlock, and the fingerprint scanner is in a real nice spot right here on the power key. That's probably one of the best spots for a fingerprint scanner because you're usually gonna be touching the power key to wake up the display anyway, so it just makes it more convenient if it just unlocks as you're doing that. Let's give it a try. There we go, one more time. And you can see how fast this really is. It's definitely impressive, and it was really responsive too. Taking a look at the rear camera setup, we have a 48 megapixel rear camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 2 megapixel macro camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera. So this phone has pretty much every feature you could possibly need. And in addition to the camera setup itself, you're going to be able to shoot video in qualities up to 4K in the rear camera and 1080p in the front facing camera. So you're going to be able to get some good quality videos as well. Let's take a look at a few photo samples from this phone so you can get a better idea of what the quality is like. So here's a picture taken with the rear camera of the phone. As you can see, the colors are really bright and nicely balanced, and the details are really good as well. No matter what kind of user you are when it comes to the camera, whether you're a more casual user or you like to take a lot of photos and like to make them look as professional as possible, this camera is going to be able to get the job done for you because it not only has a lot of different features, but it's also really high quality. Now here's a picture taken with the ultra wide camera. This picture is really impressive too. The angle is decently wide, and one notable thing about this ultra wide camera is that there's no distortion around the edges, because in a lot of mid-level phones, when they have ultra wide cameras, the edges can get a little warped and distorted. But with this phone, the ultra wide camera is high quality enough to retain the same type of quality you get from the rear camera. Internally, this phone is getting 4 gigabytes of RAM with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 678 processor. I ran a Geekbench 5 benchmark test on this phone and it came back with a single core score of 538 and a multi-core score of 1588. So definitely not bad. I would say it's really comparable to a phone like the Samsung Galaxy A52. Those scores are really close. So if you're doing a mixture of basic and moderate activities, like normal mobile functions, sending text messages, making calls, that sort of thing, and then browsing the web, going on social media, and doing some gaming and maybe some video editing, this phone is gonna work out perfectly fine for you. But if you're playing a more high power game like Fortnite, or doing more intense video editing that has a lot of larger files, then you might struggle a little because those activities are really taxing on the processor. But for everything else, while it's not going to give you flagship phone performance, it is going to be really good, especially compared to your average phone in this price range. This phone has a pretty good battery too, with a 4000 mAh battery supporting 10 watt fast charging. It's not the biggest battery out there. If battery life is the most important thing for you, then there are definitely other phones that can do a lot better, like for example the Motorola Moto G Power. That phone has a 5000 mAh battery, so if battery life is number one for you, that is something to consider. But as far as this phone goes, if battery life isn't quite your priority, then this is going to be perfectly acceptable. A 4000 mAh battery isn't small by any means, and being able to support 10 watt fast charging is going to help you charge your phone up a lot faster. So if you have a more mobile lifestyle where you're on the go a lot and don't really have the chance to sit there and plug in your phone and wait for it to charge if it dies during the middle of the day, then the fast charging is really going to come in handy. And of course, as the name suggests, the Motorola Moto G Stylus 2021 does have a stylus right here at the bottom. They redesigned this so it has a different release from its predecessor. Instead of pulling it out, you actually just push this and it pops out, which I really like. It looks really nice and it makes it look a lot more high-end as well. There's a lot you can do with this stylus and it's decently responsive for what it is. So now that we've gone over some of the specs of the phone, let's take a look at the hardware. Up top here, we got the noise canceling microphone and really nothing else. On the left side, we have a slot for the SIM card and the micro SD card. On the bottom, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, a USB-C charging port, the microphone, the speaker, and of course the stylus. On the right side, we have the power key that doubles as a fingerprint scanner and the volume keys. On the back, we have our quad camera setup and the flash. There's a Motorola logo right here that looks really cool in context with the rest of the phone. And overall, the back of the phone and really all of it looks super clean. And the materials not only don't feel cheap, but they actually do feel pretty high end. The phone has some weight to it, which really adds to that effect. So in conclusion, my final thoughts about the Motorola Moto G Stylus 2021. I do think this phone is really good. It has a lot of nice features and offers really good performance as well as a good display. The overall design of the phone is really sleek and modern, and the materials don't feel cheap at all. I would say if you're looking for a mid-level phone that's going to give you a really good experience for content consumption, have enough processing power for activities like mobile gaming, video editing, social media, and general content consumption, and have the benefits of having a stylus, then the Motorola Moto G Stylus 2021 is a really good option. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.